My phone's dead. Well, I don't know where I'm at. Hi guys, it's Dave with Tactical Hyve, and today I'm going to talk about some decision-making criteria for me. If I'm lost, I find myself in a potential survival situation. All right guys, so here we are. My intent was to follow the road all the way back to my truck. I've been traveling for a little over an hour on the way out before my phone died. So I 5-6 miles, somewhere around there. I wasn't keeping track. My phone was, but here I am. So still not a big deal. I'm gonna keep that low ground off to my right, and I'm gonna follow this trail all the way back. Problem is that low ground is now split twice, and I don't remember this road intersection. And I've been traveling for longer than I should have been needed to travel to get back to recognizable features, back to where my truck is at. So at this point, I'm gonna call it, and I'm gonna say that I'm officially lost. All right, here's the number one thing you need to know about being lost. Number one thing, the very first thing, slow down. Panic sets in, and when panic sets in, it's a very, very natural thing. Whether you're on a land navigation course or you're really trying to survive and find your way back, the moment that panic sets in, you want to do everything you can to identify where you're at. And undue haste makes waste, right? So you'll find yourself running to the top of a high ground. You'll find yourself running back the direction you came. You'll exert and spend a lot of energy and effort you don't need to, only because you're panicked. So just slow down. Recapture everything that you went through, recapture where you're at, where was your last known location, if you have that, and slowly devise a plan, okay? So here's where we're at in this scenario right now. I still have water, all right? The temperature's starting to get up a little bit, so I don't know how much longer this water is gonna last me. In a survival situation, they'll tell you to conserve sweat, not water, all right? That's gonna fluctuate and change depending on the environment you're operating in here. The temperature swing here is about 40 degrees. Right? From the daytime to the night. So if I get hot and sweaty here today, and then I don't make it out by the time the night swings and that drops 40 degrees, I can go into hypothermia. So that's some stuff for me to think about in the future, but I need to start thinking about future things now because I need to successfully extract myself from this situation. Okay, so I've slowed down, and I'm just gonna take an inventory of where I'm at and what's going on. No one knows I'm here, right? I went on my own, I've lost cell service, I've lost phone service, and now I've lost geographical, I'm geographically embarrassed. That's what I am, right? So now that I've slowed down, I got water. The first thing I need to do is determine which direction do I need to be heading, right? Because I'm not really sure. I think it's generally in this direction. I tried to keep a track on the sun and where the shadow was as I was going back, but I didn't start paying attention to that until I was already really becoming lost. So it doesn't do me a lot of good. So at this point, I'm gonna pick a piece of high ground. I'm gonna get up there where I can see, and hopefully I can identify, terrain features or key terrain to map my way out of here back to my truck. So we're gonna take our time, again, conserving sweat, not water. We're gonna take our time and slowly move up to one of these pieces of high ground and go from there. So let's go. We got a little elevation. We got out of the creek bottom. It gives me a little bit of a better view of what's going on with us in terms of the environment and the creek and how it's looking. There was no need for me to go all the way to the top of the ridge because when I got up here midway, I noticed that road, which is the direction I'm pretty sure I want, right? But also I noticed that fence line down there, which is a key indicator for me because I remember that walking back. So now I'm gonna pick that road back up and continue to move in that direction. Still looking okay on my water, and I'm gonna keep moving. Again, the reason I'm moving is because no one knows I'm here. And I don't have what it takes. This trail's not well used, and I don't have confidence that if I stayed here for 24 hours, that I could survive the cold swing and that I would have enough water to get me through the next day for successful survival. All right, so here we are. We made it to the top of that road we identified from the high ground. Yeah, and I'm more screwed than I thought I was. All right, when I got to the top of this road, I recognized that I don't recognize this road. That's a common thing. Again, we talked about slow down, right? When stop the panic, undue haste makes waste, slow down, right? So I get here, I need to slow down again and realize that I've made the map fit, right? That's something you can do too. If you have maps more than once, you're like, oh no, I definitely see this, and that's not at all what you saw. You want it so badly, you almost will it into existence, right? I get here, I realize it's not where I'm at, so now I gotta re-inventory what's going on again, right? I'm still lost. I'm making it worse by moving further and further and further from what I thought was good, and to make matters even worse, I'm getting lower and lower on water, All right, that's gonna become a critical issue for me here pretty soon because again, like I said, I'm in the Southern California high desert and I can't afford to be out here without water. That will kill me, all right? So I need to get back to high ground. Instead of stopping at the halfway point and thinking that I see what I saw, I need to get definitive, clear route planned out. And right now I can't do that from this environment. So I need to get to the top of one of these big pieces. What's concerning me at this point is my lack of water. Right? So I've got two choices. Choice number one, I can head down to the low ground and strike a camp for the night, you know, make me an improvised shelter, get me a fire started, purify some water, and then kick back out in the daytime. Or I can move to the high ground, and I may wind up moving through the night anyway here. With a potential 40-degree temperature change and me slightly sweaty, if I don't have a fire to dry my clothes and keep warm, hypothermia is a big thing for me. If I move to the top of that without having all those things established, I may force my hand into walking. Stumbling around here at dark when I'm already lost, for me, that's not a starter. So by a matter of deduction, I've made my situation better by understanding what I need to do, and that is go down, refresh my water, set base camp for the night, and then move again in the morning when the sun comes up. So let's go get started. All right, guys, so we slowed down, took another in-depth look at what we have, what we need to do, and we went and got water. We'll talk about water procurement and purification and fires and shelters and all that in more videos to come, right? But for this simple scenario of, hey, a day hike turns into me being lost, how do I become not lost? Right? Once I got enough water, again, that was my primary thing. I got to some high ground. And once I get up here, I can see the valley that I was on, and I can see where I got lost, right? The only reason I know that, I wouldn't if I just looked at it, it still just looks like any other valley. But having the broader picture up here, I can see down there the park area where I'm parked at, right? So I can see from up here where I need to go. I know once I come off of this that I'm gonna lose visual, direct line of sight with it, right? So I set up bumper rails, if you will, catching features used by the terrain. And here it's really pretty simple, right? I've got this really large ridge. I start on the other side of that, which is where I got lost, right? So I'm gonna keep this really large ridge and this piece of low ground to my left, and I'm gonna follow this piece of low ground all the way down. I can see up here, once I get that high ground right there to my immediate right and that ridge to my right, I gotta keep going straight down that low ground and I'm gonna wind up at that park. So it kind of puts me back into where my truck's at. And from there, I can make myself home. I can self-extract myself. There's so much more to this that can be gone into great detail. Food procurement, water procurement, the list for survival and the list for evasion go on and on and on. Quick recap, guys, of what we went through in this whole ordeal this afternoon. Okay, very first thing, slow down. When haste makes waste, so when you think you're lost, you begin to think you're lost, slow down for a second. Take your time. Don't let panic drive you into wasting sweat, right? Conserve sweat, not water, when you're in these situations as well. When I say conserve sweat, not water, really what I'm telling you is don't be that guy they find 500 meters away from the parking deck with a canteen full of water and you've dehydrated to the point that now you've passed. Don't be that guy. Get to high ground when you can. Identify your cardinal directions. Identify when you can catching features or terrain features. Here it's easy because the lack of large vegetation, large trees, we can clearly see the ridge lines and the bottoms. If you're more in the Appalachians or mountains like that where you don't have these big, long, direct lines of sight, you still have catching features. You have ridge lines and you have low grounds, whether you're using those as a left-right boundary or something to follow. But that's going to get you back to some form of civilization where you can help yourself. Yeah, guys. So thanks for walking with me today on our Getting Unstuck. If you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think. If you want to see more, or if you have your own scenarios and stuff that you've been a part of, let us know. Thanks, guys. See you later.